Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me today. It's Allan Laboucan with the Rocks and Stocks News Show. And I got one of my sponsors on, Ramp Metals, that had some news out yesterday. So I fired up the horn to Jordan Black, who's the CEO, to talk about that news. Jordan, thank you very much for joining me.
Hey, Alan, hope you're having a great day. Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, I'm having a really great day because I'm leaving tomorrow for the beach for a 1 week trip. It's always a working thing with me, but
Yeah, you could trade stocks on the beach, buy more rent metals while you're sipping your margarita or whatever it is.
there you go, there you go. So yeah, you guys are in the midst of a big drill program, uh, and this is to follow up on the spectacular hit you made last year when you intersected 70 some grams over 7.5 meters, I think it was,
Yeah.
which is pretty spectacular. What really, impressed me was the fact that I looked at the drill core and it was in a granite top looking core. And what that tells me is that you've likely, that's the rock that's beside the main zone. And if you get that kind of a hit, uh, protruding up into what's beside the main zone, that's pretty phenomenal stuff. I mean, on its own, it's phenomenal, but to think of where it is and the kind of rocks it is in is tremendously exciting. So, you guys got your drilling underway to follow up on that success. How's it going?
Yeah, look, it's going great. The weather's been good. It's in northern Saskatchewan, so it's still cold this time of year. And we're getting about 70 to 80 meters a day, which is phenomenal for this area. We've now completed 6 holes at the target Ranger area where we made that original discovery. So we were able to drill a couple from the original pad, and then we had a new pad drilling a few more towards the lake and trying to intersect that original discovery intercept, right? So things I couldn't be more happier with the team. We got flamingo drilling out there and a bunch of local guys helping Garrett and Brett out there. So yeah, look, we're happy. And as you mentioned, we just put out a press release yesterday. And that was because we had a lot of incomplete data with the geophysics. So we only had about a quarter of the data at Ranger, so we were able to expand that, and then we were able to expand the rush target as well. And pleasantly surprised with Ranger, if you pull up the map in a bit, we uncovered a few more anomalies that are really close to that original intercept.
So on before I get to that news release, the you're drilling from from one pad a couple holes. So what did they change the angles to get underneath the
Yeah,
hit?
so from the original pad, they just changed the azimuth, and that was they were able to fan it out around the original hole to stay as tight as possible, and then they flipped it around on a different pad to attack
Okay,
it from a different direction.
now azimuth is the direction. What did they change the angle to get underneath or is it a long strike of? Do you know?
On the original pad, I'm not sure. All I know is they wanted to get as close as possible. Um, on the original pad or on the second pad, they're definitely using different dips and different angles.
Okay, all right. And so I imagine that their idea is that they're getting on the other side of the structure, on the east side of the structure, or what they interpret to be the structure.
Yeah, and it's looking right now. It's we're hitting the same quartz diorite, and it's seems to be a buried intrusion.
Okay, and how many more holes are you going to do on that Ranger target where you hit the?
So we're done the 6 holes for now. We want to cut that core, log it, analyze that, And then we're drilling a seventh hole currently in the newly discovered geophysics data there. That's going to be just on the other side of the lake. And we want to see if that's connected to Ranger at all. They're not that far away, but we really want to see if there's any spatial relationship between these anomalies and these high conductive areas to targeting the gold.
So you were able to get 6 holes done pretty quickly. Am I safe to assume that, you've maybe only logged one or two and the rest are being done now, or what's
Yeah,
the?
that's a great assumption, and we're hiring some core cutters to finalize like or to start cutting the core. I can't remember if they started already, but it's always tricky finding people that want to cut the core. It's not the easiest job, and after this area, they're going to head over to Rush as our next target.
So far the geologists have just been able to look at the outside of the core, not the cut portion of it.
Exactly, and they're not putting it under the magnifying glass and giving it the detailed look at this time. That will be later on in this program.
So they won't do that before they send it, or
Oh,
just
they'll do some of that for sure once it's cut. So it's a lot easier to look under the
right,
microscope once it's cut.
right. And what's sort of the philosophy if there is some visible gold there? Will you wait until you see the assays, or?
So I get this question a lot, but we'll probably wait till assays. So we won't. We're gonna leave it to a surprise, and you could probably expect the first assays in June.
Okay, good. All right, let me pull up this news release because I saw some really interesting stuff in there. Can you see my
Yeah, and
screen?
yeah, I could see it. And while you're doing that, I'm just going to mention that um, we're going to fly over to Rush next, drill a couple holes at Rush, and then we'll finalize the program at Rogue. And knock on wood, if things keep going well, we'll get to the top range of how many holes we want completed on the property, right?
And what was that range?
Around 15 holes. So I think we said between 12 and 15, and ideally we want to do as many as possible, right?
Okay, so here is the geophysics, folks, and I want to point out a couple of things. Sometimes the surface expression of what's happening under the ground, you can actually see in on the surface. And there's a series of lakes here that line up and in what is likely expressing a structure below it. And they've had some
Exactly.
confirmation of that with the drilling. And
And
now,
this was really exciting for us that we weren't really looking for this structure in the geophysics. And then you get those three anomalies right along the structure, that northeast southwest structure.
well, I'm happy because it confirms what I was looking at from the Google Earth image. I saw the lineup of the of the lakes and where you had drilled, and not only did I see a structure here, but I also see something that's coming this way. There's sort of a hinge right about here. But what I also find interesting is this big anomaly sitting right beside that structure.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And just so the viewers are aware, the original Ranger 1 went into that big structure. And the
This
quartz
one
diorite
here.
was, yeah, the quartz diorite was underneath that. So what's creating that structure, at least the big one, we don't know what's creating the smaller ones, but that is a sulfide target that was between 50 and 150 meters below surface.
Now, do you know if they've done any magnetic susceptibility to identify if this is what you drilled into and what you drilled into is the anomaly?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly if we've done that. You're not referring to magnetics. You're referring to actually testing the core.
Susceptibility, yes, to
Yeah.
test if that is magnetic and responsible for the geophysical anomaly that is sitting right there.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'll have to ask Garrett and get back to you.
Yeah, I think he'll tell you that they can explain the geophysical anomaly with what they've seen in the drill core. So
Yeah.
you've got kind of a parallel set of anomalies, one right here, and they're going in the same direction. I also noticed that there's a start of one here, and there could be another one that goes up in here. So that's really interesting because, this one could be coming towards here where you don't have any geophysical work down here, but this where structures connect and parallel structures and cross-cutting structures are really good places where the rock is prepared for the fluids that carry the gold to make their way up into.
Yeah, for sure. And just so everyone's aware as well, we do have intentions to fly the whole property. That was supposed to be done in January and February, but the weather in Canada was just terrible this year, and they only had like 10 flying days between like I think January and the end of February. So they only did the priority targets, and then when this drill program's finished we'll resume the geophysics that will line up with our summer prospecting program.
Yeah, because I think you've got something here that is another big structure that comes right up through here. And here is another one that lines up with it and could be coming to a intersection with this one. That's some of my geophysical predictions for you there. So you definitely want to get up there and fill in those spaces that are not showing that are not, especially down here and up in here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting where they all kind of collide, right? There's a good chance where the fluids will come from, right?
Yeah, and here's another little interesting sort of bend. Where structures bend are also good rock preparation locations. So I'd love to see the geophysics up in here, up in all the way through here and all the way down to here. Okay, so um, can you sort of guide me as to where you drilled the hole? You said it's up in this bigger anomaly. Is it at the south end of it or at the north end of it?
That's a great question. It's hard to see on this map. I think it's more to the yeah, if you go, maybe I have a better map here. Let me just try to pull one up here.
Here, let me
A previous press release, we put the caller.
hold on. Let me okay, what I'll do is I'll stop sharing and give you the ability to share. Uh, there you go. You can share your screen now if you want.
Okay, I'm just seeing if I have it up.
Uh, I think it might be on your website actually. Let me see here. Do you know which news release that was?
I'm looking on the January 20th one right now, and I see our soil sample grid, but I actually don't see I see the collar there, but then we don't have the EM survey on top of that collar. But
Okay.
it's about 100 meters from the lake. So if you can see the lake on that image,
The
you might
lake that goes
predict
north to
it.
south?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. So I'll get back to this news release and I will share my screen again because I can tell you where it is. So share. So yeah, that I would guess it's right about in here somewhere. Where you see
Yeah.
my picture?
That looks about right.
Okay. All right, so you drilled a couple more holes from there, and then I think if the lake is right about here, sounds like you're drilling back towards that lake.
Yeah,
Okay. And then you've got that anomaly right there. So yeah, that's very interesting. That's quite a beautiful anomaly sitting right there.
it is. And as you can see, it folds a bit as well. And
Yeah.
this doesn't show the mag on it, but if you pull up the mag, there's some interesting fold noses in the mag as well.
Oh, so this is conductors. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Awesome. All right. So then you finished up the six holes here at the Ranger target. By the way, folks, that's where they hit the spectacular 400, almost 500 gram meter intersection when you multiply the thickness of the intersection by the grade. And, that puts you up in the top percentile or so of grade hits anywhere in the world over the last decade.
Yeah,
So
it's top 2 or 3%
there you
in the
go.
world. And look, most people look for 100 grand meters, and this was 550 grand meters.
There
So
you
quite
go.
significant.
Okay, so that's a great target for the gold because to get that kind of grade and that kind of thickness um, has to come from somewhere and somewhere probably deeper or beside where you drilled on my interpretation. So yeah, really excited to see those holes, as you said, probably in June. And then you're switching over here to Rush, right?
Yeah, we're gonna fly up to Rush probably this weekend and put 2 or 3 into that. And that one's looking more like a VMS because we found at surface 1.61% copper, 0.78 grams per ton of gold, and 115 grams per ton of silver, which had some kickers of zinc and lead in it as well. So there's almost like a structure separating Rush and Rogue, and then south of Rogue, you have like a magmatic structure, and then to that north, and it almost looks like a VMS.
Okay, so folks, there's a few things you want to know about VMS deposits. They're volcanogenic massive sulfide deposits, which means that they are created by a volcanic event. And where you find one, you usually find multiple, almost always. And so here you have outcropping copper, gold, silver, and zinc mineralization along this big anomaly. Now, these other anomalies are very interesting as well because you could have a cluster right in that immediate area. And I don't think that you did really tight line spacing on your geophysics, which is why it's not super,
Yeah,
obvious.
I think we did 100 meters, so it
Right.
wasn't, we could have probably went 50 meters. But if you pull up, if you scroll down a bit, there's a zoomed in version.
That's this.
Yeah,
There you go.
and that's the big structure, which is about 1,000 meters, and then you see there's those two other targets which you're talking about, and maybe this one's actually three targets into one. It looks like one long one, but maybe it's actually three.
Yeah,
Um,
you could have one here, you could have one here, and you could have one here. Now, this one will probably not be outcropping or just slightly outcropping.
yeah,
And
that one. So where you see the triangle, that was a rock chip sample, and then it dipped into the soil. So then they did a soil grid where it
here,
dipped into the soil. Yeah.
right. So if the expression surface or the top of the system is a little bit buried, then you will get these more subtle geophysical anomalies. Now, that doesn't mean that it's not something great that could be sitting there, especially when you have coincident soil samples right above it and you're getting kicks of high grade copper and gold. And so, yeah, you could have one anomaly right here, another one here, another one here, one here, one here, and going back to this map, that only is that one, this one. There's a couple more down here, a couple more up here, and another one here. So remember, folks, we're zoomed out here. And so this zooms in and gives you a tighter image. Now, another important thing for people to recognize when it comes to VMS deposits is that they tend to be have what's called zonation of grade. And what that means is that when you're closer to the vent or the center, if you will, of the volcanic event, you have a copper and gold zone. As you get further away from that, it transitions into a silver, zinc, and lead zone. So the fact that you're getting gold, silver, as well as or gold and copper, as well as silver, zinc, and lead, it suggests to me that you could have, maybe both the zonation close to the vent of the volcano and distal to the vent. So that's pretty exciting stuff, Jordan.
Yeah, no, we're really excited about it. So,
And where do you know where on here you plan on drilling?
I don't have that in front of me right now, but we might go right into the center of it.
So this center, or I think you've got um, a, a double or triple anomaly here. So when you say center, do you mean center of
Well, I mean,
this?
like I think we're setting up on the center, and we'll probably go in three different directions. But
Also something
I
like
don't have
here,
the exact mapping with me.
something like here, and then go off in a few different directions.
Yeah.
That's the idea. Okay. Now, this is a top-down version of this anomaly. Do you know if your geophysicists have been able to produce a three-dimensional model of this geophysical work?
Yeah, they run everything through Leapfrog,
Yes.
and we've given data to Stephen Belch as well to help us analyze it and modify our targets.
Okay, now Leapfrog doesn't really give you a three-dimensional um, image. There's special software that gives you this three-dimensional image. And why that's important is that you can do what's are called slices on the geophysics. So you can go down 50 meters, you can slice out the top 50 meters, slice out the next 50 meters, slice out the next 50 meters, and keep doing that. And it gives you a vision of what you're looking at the depth dimension.
Yeah.
Are you guys planning to do that? Do you know?
No, I think they're already doing that. I just
Okay.
don't have the name of the software.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we should
They
probably
they send me screenshots all the time.
okay. So we should probably get your geophysicist in there because slicing that data, like what you might find is this could be like a bell. Okay. So at the top of the bell, it's smaller. And then as you get deeper, it spreads out. And also, if you're looking at it three-dimensionally along strike, you can probably define better if there actually is three anomalies here and not just one.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see as well. One of the future shows, I'll have to you have to get your geologist in here with all this fancy software, and we can talk about that more.
Yeah, I think that's great. I would have had them on today, but they're out in the field. But
Yeah.
when they're done the program, it'd be great for them before assays to actually go through and show everyone where we drilled and here's why we drilled here. And and this is
exactly.
what we're expected, right?
Yeah, maybe even some pictures of some core that I can take a look at.
Everyone wants the core photos, eh?
Well, the trouble is most people don't know what they're looking at. I've been looking at core for 30 years, so I tend to have a pretty good eye for what matters in the core.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay. So let's go back to so drilled here, drilling here.
Oh, you
Uh,
closed the map.
oh, did I? Oh, darn. Thank you. I've done that before, and I start blathering on about what I'm seeing, and nobody else can see it. You can see my screen again.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, so here's where you've done the drilling. Next up is over here at Rush, and then you're getting back to Rogue. And although your drilling at Rogue last year could be described as a technical success, which doesn't bother me because I know how exploration works. Sometimes a technical success turns into a big success. You just have to refine your targeting. But you have a very intense conductor here and here that are lining up again with these lakes. And you could have, this is really interesting here because you could have one coming sort of east-west and one coming north-south, and you have a point where they meet. And so, you know, if I was characterizing this target, I would say, minimal drilling has proved that it is a good target. Geophysics adds to that target, and now that this work, the past drilling and the geophysics, uh, enable your geological team to pinpoint where they want to be drilling on Rogue.
Yeah, for sure. And let me share my screen now. I have a nice map that will add another, I guess, check mark to the list that we're always
Okay.
looking for in exploration. So this is from the January 20th press release. And I always try to refer people back here because that's where we did a lot of the mapping disclosures. So we have both the map you saw previously at Rush and at Rogue are in this press release. And this map, you'll see over top of the conductor and the mag high that Allan was pointing out, you have this sample of 530 ppb and multiple hits over 100 ppb of gold right above there when we did our soil sampling. And just again, another stat, this is top 2% in the world for gold found in soils. And in Saskatchewan, it's known that this till sampling doesn't migrate very far. So where did this type of high grade gold come from?
Now, do you know? Oh, by the way, folks, when you're talking about 530 ppb, you're talking about 5 grams of gold. So that's a pretty nice kick in the soils. And do you know if they characterized any of those by pristine visible gold grains? Did they see any of that?
I'm not too sure.
Okay. All right. But bear in mind, folks, that you've got glaciation happening here. And so, you know, transport of the gold in soils can come from farther away. Now, when you get grades like that and and several hits in your soil sampling, it's a really good sign, especially when it's coincident with a geophysical anomaly sitting right underneath it. And so, yeah, I mean, there's base metals in your drill core and gold as well, sniffs, and you've got above it gold in the soils.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's with greenfield exploration, you have to look at all the tools, and these are really clues to find out, okay, where is the major mineralization coming from, right? Where did that 73 and a half grams per ton come from at Ranger? And is there any connection between Rogue and Ranger? Is there something in between the two, right? So that's really what this program is really the first program that we're doing a series of exploration across the entire site, right? Or at least across these three mineralized zones.
Yeah, it could. I see a structure that goes between east to west, between Ranger and Rogue. So yeah, it could be associated for sure.
Yeah, and yeah, we definitely want to try to hit one of those structures in this program. And we'll be heading here to Rogue after we finish drilling at Rush.
Okay, so when do you think you'll wrap up the drilling at Russian Rogue?
So we're thinking it's probably another, I want to say 30 days on site.
Okay, and so then you've got a lot of cord to cut and log, and then release those assays over the summer.
Yeah.
And you'll also be doing more summer exploration work when the snow is gone. Is the thinking that you'll wait until early fall to start drilling what you find in this current drill program, or can you do
Yeah,
any
I
drill?
think early fall would make sense. So we'll have the summer prospecting program. Maybe we build a camp out there near Ranger, and then that probably puts us into end of August, early September already, right? And then ideally you drill in September, but you shoot for October before the snow flies.
And and then you can drill in the winter as well, right?
Yeah, all year round here, pretty much.
Okay. And so, oh, my phone's ringing. I forgot to turn it off. I'll just turn it off right now. Sorry about that, Jordan.
No worries.
Um, and I'll turn it down because it's my daughter calling. She'll call me back. And so, in addition to doing your surface sampling and your mapping in the summer while you're compiling this data, you'll also be able to get in there with geophysics, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Ideally, we fly the geophysics before we head out there in the summer. Get the mapping, get those structures, the rest of those structures mapped out, see if there's any more EMs across the property, and then go put boots on the ground and explore those. Obviously, with the focus around what we currently drilled, but always you always want to spend a few days looking at new structures.
So it sounds like you're going to have lots of news out from here until the end of the year, I would guess.
Yeah, the plan is to be busy all year this year, so I think it's going according to plan.
Good, good. And something else that's quite unique about Ramp Metals is that they came out of the gate as a brand new public company and had success making a discovery of high-grade gold when they were actually looking for base metals, which drove the stock to a really handsome valuation. And therefore they were able to do significant funding at an attractive price. So they've been able to keep the stock nice and tight. And so, that's a hell of a combination, Jordan, having great targets to drill, cash in the bank that was done at an attractive valuation. You're still able to keep the share structure tight, and your insiders own a lot of the stock as well.
Yeah, look, we've been very fortunate, right, to have that first hit, raise money from good shareholders right after that, cashed up for the drilling program, and yeah, like you said, we're still about 47% owned by insiders and management.
And what's the issued and out fully diluted numbers? It's
It's
pretty
somewhere
low.
around 42 million outstanding right now.
And fully diluted?
maybe 46 at the max.
Oh, yeah, because you guys only you only had to do a half a warrant with that or something, didn't you?
Yeah, the half warrant was done on the RTO, so on that go public round. And then on the 55-cent round, that was actually the back end of a charity flow through. So Eric and Earth Labs, they actually bought the charity flow, and that gives our company less dilution by doing it that way.
So no warrant attached to that.
No.
So of the options and warrants, how many warrants are out and at what strike price could you get some more money in the till that way?
Yeah, so there was the half warrant at 35 cents. So obviously, like some people have exercised them over the last 6 months, and that definitely brought in some nice cash in the bank. When we first started this program, we were still sitting at like 4.5 million in the treasury, and we plan on spending around $2 million on this program.
So you'll leave the program with a good amount of cash still in the bank.
Exactly. That's why we wanted to keep the field program going all year.
Ah, perfect, perfect. And how much options are out on it?
I don't have the number right in front of me, Alan, but I could definitely look that up for you. There's
Wild, wild
maybe like
guess.
what 8% of the outstanding float, something like that.
8%, so maybe 3.2 million shares or something like that.
Yeah, maybe even less. I think well, last time I checked, it was under 3 million.
Okay, and do you know what the strike is on that?
The
On that?
options, they all vary.
Okay.
Yeah,
So that's another way you could get some cash in. If the insiders can see a good run in the stock, they can exercise some of their options as well.
for sure. Yeah.
Okay, good. So I guess before we close, Jordan, we got a hell of a market for gold these days. Even copper's doing pretty darn good as well. What are your feelings about gold these days?
Yeah, look, it's great seeing the chart hit all-time highs every day. You're finally seeing the junior gold miners. I'm talking like the ones that are in the GDXJ and the GDX. They're breaking out to 52-week highs, and that's what I've been waiting for a while. You saw this movement in gold, but you didn't see that reflect in the majors or the intermediates. This summer, I expect some of those profits to start flowing into junior TSXV stocks. So it's always the trickle down effect, right? It starts with gold, goes to majors, goes to the intermediates, and then it goes to the junior leveraged explorers like us. And I think it's going to be a really good summer for the TSXV and for ramp metals especially.
That reminds me of a report I wrote in February, which I never could have written in 2024, which was I did a study and I was looking at out of the 100 companies I follow or 70 some companies I follow, I was looking at breakouts. Like in 2024, as you said, you saw great moves in companies like a Agnico Eagle or a Alamos. Silvercrest was another pick of mine that did really well, but you didn't really see it following down the food chain that much. And in the report I wrote in February, I highlighted that, it was a report I couldn't do in 2024 because it didn't happen. But what I saw was not just the major gold miners, the junior gold miners, the mid tiers, the developers, and the explorers with important discoveries had a bunch of them. I think I wrote about 12 companies that along that food chain that had significant breakouts from the lows or the where they closed 2024 and where they were in mid-February. And Ramp Metals was one of those companies. And you guys are about as junior as it gets because you're one hole into you're a discovery hole into a new project. So yeah, I had not seen that happen throughout all of 2024.
Yeah, no, it's a good sign for sure. But yeah, look, thanks again for supporting the story, Alan. I look forward to your write-ups, and look, we'll talk again once we finish the program here.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, maybe we could do an update on the completion of, now that we did one on the completion of Ranger, maybe we can do one on the completion of drilling at Rush, and then one at the conclusion of Rogue. And next time, bring one of your geologists on because I ask questions that is above your pay grade, Jordan.
For sure. Yeah, no, we definitely need to do a geo update and share some fancy models.
There you go. There you go. All right, folks. As always, it's important for you to do your homework, speak to your financial advisor before making any investment decisions. I don't make buying or selling recommendations. It's also important for you to understand that sponsors pay me to create content, but they don't pay me for my opinion. My opinion is based on 30 years of exploration, having worked with some of the most talented people in geophysics, geochemistry, and geology. That's my proprietary thing. But sponsors do make it possible for me to do all the work that I do, creating content for them and creating content for others in the sector as well. So uh, when I'm talking about the company, keep those biases in mind. And the most important thing is I'm just trying to be a idea generator. And it's really incumbent on you to do your homework and speak with your financial advisors. On that note, have a great day and we'll talk to you soon.